This is such an amazing film. From the moment it
Thank
started,
you.
there was a hush over the audience,
Yeah.
and it stayed that way until the end of the film.
Which is crazy, right?
Yeah,
It's
I mean, you
it's
don't
it's the
get that
thing
all
we
the
were
time.
hoping for, but not sure that we would get, and it's honestly, one of the best compliments I could get as a director, and especially for this movie. The idea that people really feel that this is an experience, that it's not just a movie, you're actually going through something with this family. It feels almost like a virtual reality or something. Your senses are asked to do a lot of work, which is great. One of my favorite compliments was during one of the early test screenings. They asked the audience what they thought of the movie, and then they said, "Is there anything else we should know?" And this guy raised his hand very slowly, and he said, "I want you to know I snuck a bag of Skittles into this movie, and for 90 minutes I was like this, and never opened them." And I thought, that's as good as it gets right there.
Was it difficult to keep that kind of silence on set while you were filming?
It was, and bizarrely, I think the crew and the cast had to learn how to be silent, just like the characters in the movie, because people thought there isn't dialogue, we can talk as much as we want, we can make as much noise, because they'll just take it all out in post. And the truth was, it was the exact opposite. We needed room tone, and we needed all these tiny sounds that were happening at all times. So we had to learn all together, the cast and crew, of how to not make any sound while we were rolling at all, which is sort of what you hope for in every movie, but in this one in particular, we had to learn how to live silently.
You wrote this with two other guys who had an original story, and then you came on board.
That's right.
What did your vision change about the script?
Well, I mean, for me, again, I'm not, I've never been much of a horror guy. I'm too scared to watch these movies. And so I've watched them all now after, having to prepare for this. But, to me, I was reading a story that to me didn't feel like a horror movie. It felt like an incredible metaphor for parenthood. And so they had such a great idea. I mean, the script that they delivered, the idea is as good as I've seen, obviously, to jump in. So for me, we had just actually had our second daughter. Emily had our second daughter. And I was in that new parenthood phase of being actually terrified that I could keep my daughter safe and keep her alive, and making sure we were doing everything we could as parents. And that's exactly what this movie's all about. And so I just said, if I can rewrite this, I can really add my experience to the film.
Speaking of your wife, Emily, how did she come on board as your co-star? Did she read the script and say, I have to be part of this? Or did you say, hey, you should look at this?
It's exactly what you said. She read the script and said I have to be a part of it, which is truly the greatest compliment of my career, because I've seen how specific, how intelligent she is with her choices, how committed she is to her choices. Basically, I was writing my version, my rewrite of the script, knowing that I would love for her to do the role, but she was doing Mary Poppins at the time, and like I said, we had our second daughter, so there was a lot going on, and I just didn't, I saw it going one of two ways, which is, will you be in this movie? And she says no, and that would make for some awkward dinner conversation. And then, or I say, will you be in this movie? And she says, for you, yes, I'll do it. And I didn't want her to do it for me as a favor, I wanted her to do it for her. So it was actually the most organic version of it. We were on a plane, and she said, can I read this script? And I said, sure. And so she read the script and said, you can't let anybody else do this, I have to play the part. And that's when I knew, and like I said, it was the greatest compliment, because I knew she was doing it for her and that she wasn't doing it just for me, and we were going to have something special.
You're the director, you're the executive producer, you co-write it, you co-star.
Yes.
What is the most amazing thing about wearing all those hats on one film?
That you don't just pass out every single day. That's the most amazing thing. No, I mean, it's the most exhilarating. It's certainly the hardest I've ever worked and the most work I've ever done, and it's so rewarding. I mean, to be all those things in a movie like this especially, I think making a movie in general is damn near impossible, just to get all the pieces in the right place, and schedules and budgets and all that stuff. And on this one, it felt so gratifying to do all that work and to wear all those hats. And certainly being the director and writing on the script and having also Emily in the movie just felt like I don't think I can have a more special experience to tell a movie about parenthood, or my version of what I think parenthood is, and do it with your wife. I don't know if it gets any better than that.
Thank you so much for talking to me today, and congratulations on this film. I hope everybody sees it, because like you said, it's a really memorable experience. It's not just like any film. It's just incredible.
Thank you so much for saying that. I appreciate it. Thank you very much.